Boybs and Goylbs, it's the final figure in the Marvel Legends 2020-2021 Stilt-Man wave. We have looked at Frogman, Hand Ninja, Peter B. Parker, the Prowler, and Miles Morales. The last three are based on the movie Into the Spider-Verse, respectively. We are going to look now at the last two characters. That's right, Ruddy 2, to be based on that film in this wave. The boxed character, the one that they're admitting to being in the box, is Gwen Stacy. Let's see what it says about Gwen. Intelligent, quick-witted, Gwen has a sharp sense of humour and is a natural leader. Illustration there, of course, depicting the version from the animated film Into the Spider-Verse. But the thing is, though that's got Gwen there, Gwen's not alone. There's someone else on here. There's someone else in this packaging. His hands are wet because he went to the bathroom. No other reason. So, yeah, we have got the Stilt-Man torso. We have a Gwen figure based sort of pretty much almost beat for beat on the previous release of a Gwen figure, albeit with some changes to match it to the movie one. And we have Peter Parker, the Amazing Spider-Ham, which is more of a static piece, more of a display piece, but hey, it's a Spider-Verse character. And I can't wait. Let's just get them open, shall we? Okay, before we get into Gwen, I just wanted to point out a couple of things. So Prowler is roughly the average height for a Marvel Legends figure. He's a taller boy. Miles is a smaller boy. Gwen's kind of in between. I like that. Like, it's accurate to the film. Like, Gwen is a bit taller than Miles, so the figure definitely is. They've made sure proportion-wise that it all matches. Come on, Tiny Miles. Off you pop. Right. Spider-Gwen. Let's have a look at her accessories first. So she comes with the final part of the Stilt-Man Build-A-Figure, which is the torso, the important crotch, yes. And the only part of his legs that is articulated, because the rest of it are just the big old stilts. We'll look at those properly in the next video. Twisted waist, crunch. Whoop whoop, off he goes with his brethren. Spider-Gwen comes packaged with two pairs of hands. She has closed fist hands, which the figure is packaged with, and she also has thwippy web hands. Whoop whoop. So that's good. She also comes with a spare head. A Spirit Spider, Ghost Spider, Spider Woman, Gwen. She's just called Gwen Stacy in the film, isn't she? But what's interesting about this one is it's a solidly sculpted piece, as far as I can tell. I don't want to wiggle it too much and break it in case it isn't. But it seems to be one piece, so that neck has to go right up into the head. The reason that's interesting is because this figure, I thought, was just a swap for swap, beat for beat of the comic book. Oh no! The comic book Gwen, Spider-Gwen figure that they'd done before, which they had repackaged with colour alterations to match this version of the character in a previous set a few years ago for American stores. But no. These are two different sculpts. Two different builds entirely. I mean, obviously, paint app-wise, the costume was tweaked slightly for the film version, but no, look. The Gwen of the comics has, like, slightly smaller feet. Then again, obviously, this Gwen's got, like, ballet slippers. That's part of the reason why, I guess. Then you come to, like, sort of the torso. It's definitely a bigger torso. Spider-Gwen from the movie is a little more filled out compared to the comic one, who's a kind of a lather figure. But also, the Spider-Gwen figure of yore comes with a Gwen Stacy head, longer hair, for God's sake, longer hair, headband in the hair and everything, and a neck piece to simulate a folded down hood, and then she comes with the Ghost Spider head, and a hood piece. So you could have her with the hood down and the mask on, hood down and Gwen head on. If you're really a tricksy hobbits, you could have the head on, the Gwen head on and the hood, but I ain't risking it. She didn't come with any spare hands, but, they seem to be... They seem to be the same, but then again, they might not be. I don't want to risk popping them off to try it out. So, yeah, it's interesting to see that they did not just reuse the same mold. It's a completely new mold. Now, it might be using a body of other figures from other lines, maybe, but it ain't the same as the comic book Spider-Gwen. So, once again, you've impressed me, Spider-Verse Wave. Gwen comes with articulation pivot on the feet and an invisibility power that means the camera doesn't see her. Swivel at the calf, double joint in the knee, swivel at the thigh, usual crotch joint. She doesn't have a waist swivel like a lot of female figures. She has a very simple crunch at the ribs. Usual kind of shoulder pivot joint. One elbow articulation like a lot of the smaller female figures do, so as not to make the arms extra long with the double elbow. Little swivel in the wrist. Both the web hands and the fist hands move inwards toward the wrist and outwards. She comes with a loose hood piece, which makes sense considering the spare head has the hood up, so you would of course take that off. She has a very long neck and a sculpt based on Gwen in the film, specifically Gwen after she's had to get her hair cut because of the chewing gum. Not chewing gum, the chewing gum effect that Miles' fingers have on her hair. It's a pretty fun sculpt. It's a little neutral. It's what I call like the Barbie sculpt. But the Miles suffered from this too. Like you can absolutely see the character, but there's not as much like attitude on display. It's sort of like a neutral. It's like a character test sheet version of the character's face. You know what I mean? It's definitely them, but they're not. They're not oozing some kind of expression or mood like Peter B. Parker is. Also, how tiny is Peter B. Parker's head compared to Miles and Gwen? But it's still a great sculpt, especially the hair. She's very, 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 very cool, and she's not the only figure to be packaged in this box. Oh, look who's here! Look who we've got. So, Peter Porker, the Spectacular Spider-Ham, is also. I can't believe I'm saying that. We've had Spider-Ham figures before. There was a Venom wave where Peter Porker was a figure based on the comic book one. And you also got an alternate Venom head, so that when you built your giant monster Venom Build-A-Figure, you could give it a Peter Porker head instead. But this one is, of course, based on the movie one. It's portrayed by John Mulaney. So he's got the eyes matching... his nostrils matching the eyes. He's got his little spider logo, his little trotters, little hooves. Detail's great on him. It's really, really good. And then there's the tiny little gold up blue tail there at the back. Little studs, but shallow studs like this whole wave, so good luck finding a base that works with him. He has one bit of articulation, which is the head, which is on quite a decent ball joint, so you can get him in a variety of poses, like looking heroic off to the side. You can have him looking down at something, like he's completely disappointed. You can have him quizzically staring sideways. He's an expressive little boy, considering that is the one piece of articulation he's got. He doesn't balance very well, though. His feet aren't completely flat, so you might need to find a way to balance him with his head or lean him against something to make the most of your Peter Porker Spectacular Spider-Ham. But yeah, so there we go. Spider-Gwen, Peter Porker, alternate head, flip hands. A very cool addition. And again, next to Miles and Peter is going to look super bloody cool. Do you have this figure? Do you want this figure? Let me know down below. I want to know your thoughts. You can hit me up anytime you like in the comments with any questions. Also, if you want to purchase anything from my Amazon wishlist, listed down below in the description, you can. And I'll review the toy and give you a shout out. Of course, you're under no obligation to do that. I review stuff all the time, anywho. I will see you all very soon for the final video in this wave, where we are going to build the Stilt-Man.